What happens when an arrogant developer tries to screw over the one engineer who built the digital brain of a modern skyscraper? He thought he could pocket the tech budget and take all the credit. Instead, he triggered a cascading system loop that turned his flagship property into an unlivable $100 million concrete cage. Chapter 1. The Brain of the Tower. The penthouse suite of the Apex Tower offered a breathtaking panoramic view of the city skyline, but inside the atmosphere was freezing. At 10 p.m., the floor-to-ceiling glass windows reflected the soft, cold blue glow of server racks. For 18 months, Ethan, the brilliant chief systems architect, had lived on energy drinks and 4 hours of sleep, writing over 2 million lines of custom code to integrate the skyscraper's climate control, biometric security, and high-speed elevator arrays into a single, flawless artificial intelligence ecosystem. The heavy glass doors slid open, and Victor, the smooth, ruthless billionaire developer behind Apex Group, stepped into the server room. He wore an expensive Italian suit and checked his gold watch impatiently. "Ethan, wrap it up," Victor said, throwing a thin folder onto a stainless steel counter. "The board just finalized the pre-opening balance sheet. We're trimming the operational fat." Ethan opened the folder. His jaw tightened. The $500,000 launch bonus and the 5% rolling maintenance equity, terms explicitly promised in his contract for delivering the building ahead of schedule, had been entirely deleted by an amendment. "Victor, we had a deal," Ethan said, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "This tower runs on a custom, decentralized network fabric. I personally optimized the automated load balancing for the structural dampers. Without my continuous maintenance, the building's environmental loop can't handle a full-capacity crowd." Victor let out a dry, condescending chuckle. "Ethan, let's be realists. The code is written, it's sitting on our corporate servers. Tomorrow morning, 50 international tech corporations are signing leases worth hundreds of millions of dollars. We have a standard IT help desk downstairs that can monitor dashboards. We don't pay millions in equity to a guy who just configures thermostats." Victor leaned in, his smile vanishing into cold corporate arrogance. "The system is deployed. You can either accept the base salary to stay on as a regular technician, or you can leave tonight. The Apex Tower is a global landmark. It doesn't belong to the IT department." Ethan didn't yell. He slowly closed the folder, slid his personal encrypted diagnostic deck into his pocket, and stood up. He picked up his jacket, looking at Victor with absolute calm. "The building belongs to whoever can keep it breathing, Victor," Ethan said quietly. He turned, walked past the rows of blinking servers, and took the express elevator down to the lobby for the last time. Victor scoffed, confident that a multi-billion-dollar infrastructure didn't depend on one disgruntled engineer. He had no idea that Ethan hadn't sabotaged anything. He had simply taken his proprietary optimization patches with him, and the grand opening gala, filled with global CEOs and luxury investors, was starting in less than 24 hours. Chapter 2. The Skyscraper freezes. By 2 p.m. the following afternoon, the grand opening gala of the Apex Tower was turning into a high-tech nightmare. The grand lobby was packed with 300 billionaire investors, international tech CEOs, and city officials, all wearing formal attire. On stage, a massive countdown screen ticked away toward the official lease signing ceremony. But behind the scenes, inside the glass-walled command center, Victor was sweating through his bespoke suit. "Why are the elevators parked?" Victor roared, slamming his hand on the security console. "Half of the Fortune 500 executives are trapped on the 45th floor, and the doors won't open." The junior IT supervise, or his fingers flying across a keyboard covered in red error flashes, was in complete panic. Sir, it's the smart grid load balancer. Without Ethan's diagnostic deck, the building's main operating system thinks the increased body heat from the crowd is a structural fire. It has automatically bypassed the manual controls. As if on cue, the building's advanced climate control system shifted into extreme safety mode. The motorized vents hissed, blasting freezing sub-zero air into the crowded grand lobby. The smart tint windows darkened completely, blocking out the daylight and plunging the luxury venue into a cold, ominous shadow. "Override it!" Victor screamed, his face turning red. "Turn off the AC. Open the automated security doors." "We can't," the supervisor yelled back, his voice cracking. The entire system is locked in a decentralized verification loop. It's looking for Ethan's encrypted security signature every 60 seconds to validate the crowd safety algorithms. Because the signature is missing, the building is progressively shutting itself down to protect its core infrastructure. In exactly 1 hour, the main servers will execute a total data blackout to prevent what it thinks is a system breach. Right then, Victor's phone rang. It was the lead anchor from the financial news network broadcasting live outside the building, asking why the city's most expensive smart skyscraper was currently looking like an abandoned frozen fortress. With his multi-billion-dollar leases falling apart in real time, Victor pushed his tech staff aside. His trembling fingers scrolled through his phone until he found Ethan's number. The smug, untouchable developer was gone. Only a desperate man remained. "Zaziv, you can buy the steel, you can buy the concrete, but you can never buy the mind that makes it all work." To see how Ethan handles the billionaire's panicked phone call, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Let us know in the comments, would you unlock the tower or let it freeze? Screen title caption, Total Lockdown. Subscribe to see the end. Chapter 3, The High-Stakes Phone Call. Ethan was sitting in a warm, quiet coffee shop across the street, watching the chaotic scene unfold through the window when his phone lit up with Victor's caller ID. He let it vibrate on the wooden table for a few seconds before sliding the screen to answer. "Ethan, you need to get back to the command center right now." Victor's voice burst through the receiver, completely stripped of his usual billionaire arrogance. In the background, Ethan could hear the deafening sound of building alarms, shouting security guards, and the automated hiss of the climate control vents. The entire tower is in a cascading safety lockdown. The elevators are frozen, the lobby is freezing, and the server room is threatening a total data blackout. Fix this immediately. Ethan took a slow sip of his coffee. "I don't have access to the infrastructure anymore, Victor. As you told me yesterday, the code belongs to your corporate servers. Just let your standard IT help desk downstairs deploy the optimization patches." "Ethan, cut the crap. They can't bypass the verification loop," Victor hissed, his voice cracking under sheer panic. "The international CEOs are threatening to walk out and cancel their leases. We're talking about $400 million in commercial revenue vanishing in 30 minutes. Tell me the override sequence." "There is no manual override sequence, Victor. The network fabric requires my encrypted diagnostic deck to validate the crowd's safety parameters," Ethan replied calmly, his eyes fixed on the flashing emergency lights across the street. "You made it very clear that I was just an employee configuring thermostats. Why would an untouchable landmark like the Apex Tower need my help?" "Fine, you want your money? You've got it," Victor pleaded, shouting over the sound of a distant fire alarm. "I'll authorize the 500,000 dole. LAR launch bonus immediately. I'll have accounting wire it to your account on Monday morning." Ethan smiled faintly. "That was the price when the building was breathing, Victor. The price just went up, and I don't work on weekend promises anymore." "What do you want?" Victor yelled in desperation. "I want a full 15% equity stake in the entire Apex Tower property group, a permanent seat on the infrastructure board, and a signed, legally binding master service contract for my tech firm," Ethan stated coldly. "I've already emailed the digital contract to your personal tablet. You have exactly 10 minutes to execute it with your digital signature. If the clock hits 2:30 p.m., the main servers will execute the data blackout, and your flagship smart tower will become an 80-story concrete safe. The choice is yours, Victor." Ethan hung up the phone without waiting for a reply, leaned back in his chair, and watched the countdown on his laptop screen tick down. Chapter 4. The System Restored. At 2:27 p.m., with just 3 minutes left before a permanent system blackout, Victor's corporate arrogance collapsed completely. On Ethan's laptop, a notification flashed. The digital contract was fully executed, verified, and stamped by the Apex Group's legal department. Ethan now owned 15% of the multi-billion-dollar property group and held absolute control over its digital infrastructure. Ethan closed his laptop, walked across the street, and stepped through the paralyzed security doors of the tower. The grand lobby was a scene of pure chaos. Billionaire investors were shivering in their coats, and Victor stood by the reception desk looking utterly broken. Ethan didn't say a word to him. He walked straight into the command center, pulled his encrypted diagnostic deck from his pocket, and slotted it into the main terminal bay. "Validating cryptographic signature," the system's automated voice announced. Ethan's fingers flew across the mechanical keyboard, pushing past the red warning screens. Deploying optimization patches now, rebalancing structural dampers, release the elevator arrays. Instantly, the heavy hiss of the freezing air conditioning stopped. The smart tint windows cleared, flooding the massive lobby with warm afternoon sunlight. A loud, synchronized chime echoed through the building as all 30 express elevators unlocked at once, their doors sliding open perfectly. Upstairs on the observation deck, the tech CEOs and investors cheered as the lights came back to life and the panoramic presentation screens booted up. The multi-million-dollar leases were signed within the hour, but Victor wasn't there to celebrate. He sat alone in his office, knowing that his attempt to save a few $100,000 had cost him a massive piece of his entire empire. As Ethan walked out of the building as a newly minted partner, the message to the corporate world was clear. You can finance the concrete and the glass, but the power always belongs to the person who writes the code. Kongsovka. Option 1. Victor tried to lock out the one engineer who built his smart skyscraper's brain, but he ended up surrendering a massive chunk of his empire just to keep the lights on. If you love seeing arrogant corporate tycoons get completely outsmarted by the experts, write "System Restored" in the comments and subscribe for more high-stakes workplace karma. Option 2. The billionaires always think they can exploit the technical genius behind the curtain until the entire system locks them out. If you want to see our next story about a corrupt shipping tycoon who tried to cheat his lead logistics architect, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and drop a comment below. Screen title caption: System Online. Subscribe for more stories.